We have some major breaking news as it has been reported that 2311 and Front Row's request for the entire Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals to rehear the case has been officially denied. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel and welcome back to our video. As I just said a second ago, we got some pretty massive and major breaking news this early afternoon as it has been reported that 2311 and Front Row's request for the entire Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals to rehear the preliminary injunction has been officially denied. Here was what was reported by Jeff Gluck. 2311 and Front Row's request for the entire Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals to rehear their case, not just the three-judge panel who overturned the preliminary injunction, but the 15-person court, has been denied. Next steps are unclear, but the teams could lose their charter status within the next 7 days. What this means is that if the NASCAR does decide to go ahead and overturn the decision to give them charters, which of course the judges have made the decision, if they decide to go ahead and remove their charters, they basically would lose them in 7 days. What this means is that the first potential opportunity where 2311 Front Row could maybe be open teams would be starting next week at Dover Motor Speedway. Of course, this weekend at Sonoma Raceway, they will still have their charters for the remainder of this weekend, but what this means is that they will likely lose their charters at Dover. This is really, really huge. Now, what this means is that all 6 drivers, that being Tyler Reddick, Bubba Wallace, Riley Herbst, Zane Smith, Noah Gragson, and Todd Gillen would all be open drivers for the remainder of the season. And this would go back through the rest of the case. There has been rumors and speculation as well, and some people have talked about it. I think Breakheart mentioned this as well in one of his videos, that apparently NASCAR has been looking, and they may be asking for all the money back. Not just the money they've earned the last year, but basically all the money they've earned so far this year with the preliminary injunction. Going back to last year, remember, they had requested a preliminary injunction. The original judge in this case, Kenneth Bell, basically went ahead and granted them that preliminary injunction so they could get the Stewart-Haas charter, the one for Riley Herbst this year, but then of course the other charter so they could expand to a 3-car team, and then of course they could have Zane Smith in the cars up front row, and also Riley Herbst at 2311 Racing as well. Now, if I'm not mistaken, all 6 drivers do have a revision in their contract where they basically could become free agents if they don't continue driving for these teams. Technically, Bubba Wallace, Tyler Reddick, and Riley Herbst are signed through the 2026 season, but now they have a revision in their contract where they could leave the team at the end of the year. Not sure if they're going to, but there's a chance they could leave, and I believe the same thing goes for Corey Heim as well, who does have revision in his contract where he is required to be a charter driver. And then you look at Front Row, I believe Noah Gragson, Todd Gillen, and Zane Smith all have in their contracts that they're going to be required to have a charter for the year. Now, is NASCAR going to go ahead and basically grant it? Are they going to take those charters away? I expect NASCAR is going to, because NASCAR did not want to give them the charters, because of course you had 2311 and Front Row that was suing them in this case. They were not basically wanting to go ahead and grant those charters for this year. So this is a major, major deal. This could have a major effect on silly season as well in a big way, because we all remember last year, Tyler Reddick had basically stated in his contract, and all the drivers at the organizations that were part of these teams were needing to know what the situation was for the charters and the preliminary injunction, because Tyler Reddick could have jumped ship from 2311 Racing and gone to another team. And I think there is a very good chance and possibility that if they do lose their charters, which again, I do expect the NASCAR is going to take those charters back, I do think then you're going to see those teams basically go after or go to another organization. Maybe like Tyler Reddick finds a team to go to. Let's say maybe a team like Joe Gibbs Racing, perhaps. I mean, Joe Gibbs Racing, I think, would benefit for having someone like Tyler Reddick, and maybe that Monster Energy money could come into play, and you see Tyler Reddick go over there and drive for that team, or they force Denny Hamlin out, even though Denny Hamlin's working on a contract extension with Joe Gibbs Racing currently at the moment. Another driver this affects is Bubba Wallace as well. Bubba Wallace is another driver who technically does have a contract with 2311. Bubba does bring a lot of sponsorship and funding to the table. Let's say he does leave 2311 Racing. Does he jump to another team? I'd expect he would. Bubba brings a lot of funding to the table, so another team in the Toyota camp, perhaps like a Legacy, or if they do expand to a 3-car team, could go and pick him up, which would be full circle considering he originally drove for this organization when it was Richard Petty Motorsports back in 2020. He could certainly do that. This is a major, major significant move, though, because you think about the Stewart-Haas Racing charters. They had gotten the Stewart-Haas Racing charters for this year, and I think that affects in a really, really big way as well. Now, one thing that Jeff Gluck did note in responding to somebody, he says, of course, they would run as open teams, but they're not expecting to have any more full fields going forward in the future. That is another thing, too, to look at as well, is the open team side of things. NASCAR, if they took those charters and they became open teams, they would have to qualify for every single race. If any of those cars from 2011 or front row do end up making the playoffs this year, currently Bubba Wallace and Tyler Reddick are in the playoffs currently at the moment. My question is would those drivers have to qualify early, or would they basically be starting at the back of the playoff drivers who make it? But they would have to go out and qualify early, and that's going to be really bad on the track position side of things too, because they're going to be put in a really difficult position where they're going to have to basically find their way to get the best position as possible. But they're going to be qualifying in really bad positions, which is going to affect the team. And you think about this, I'm not saying that 2011 in front row have been struggling because of this lawsuit, but maybe because of the struggles of the lack of pace and speed they've had. I think that could have something to do with this lawsuit currently at the moment. I would not be surprised or shocked if that is the case right now. But I think for 2011 in front row, this is definitely a little bit of a loss on that front. Now, this does not entirely mean, one thing I want to clarify before I get off here, is that this does not entirely mean that 2011 in front row are going to lose the case. What the judges said in the original hearing back about a month or so ago, or about 2 months ago at this point, they basically said, you're basically wanting to sue NASCAR at this moment, but you basically want to compete as charter teams. They're basically saying you can't have your cake and eat it too. And the judge, in some cases, brings up a really, really good point until you find out the financial status of some of the sponsorships, among other things as well. And then you worry about some of the sponsors as well. What about Monster Energy? There was talk of Monster Energy could have left the 2011 racing camp. Dr. Pepper left not too long ago. And I think about, Loves. I think Loves was stopping doing some of sponsorship stuff with the Front Row Motorsports team because of this situation. So I think that sponsorship side of things is going to be very, very interesting. And I think it'll be fun to watch how this kind of lawsuit plays out. But this is a really big deal because now you have 2011 in front row who are likely going to become open teams here in the coming weeks. And I think that a lot of things have absolutely changed. And I think a lot of driver moves may end up happening here in the not so distant future. And could we see like Riley Herbst not be a Cup Series driver next year or go back down and run the lower series? Could we see some of the guys in these organizations go back down and run the lower series or find other teams to go to? Or maybe nothing changes at all and they stay with their organizations. But right now, I think a lot is going to change in regards to how the rest of the season is going to go. I do expect some pretty big movement coming very soon, maybe in the lower series, perhaps because of this situation, but I think it's going to be interesting. I'll say that. I think things are going to continue to progress as time progresses and goes on. I really wish this didn't have to come to this decision at this point, but nonetheless, it's a big story, and now we've got 2011 front row who likely are going to lose their charters in the next week or so, and that will basically end up happening where they're going to lose their charters here very, very shortly. So that is going to be today's special breaking news report on the judges not hearing the appeal of 2011 in front row. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so if I win a video, it does go live on my channel. Follow me Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Let's go below that and comment your thoughts below on today's episode. Do you agree with the judge's decision to go ahead and not hear the whole entire case or the whole appeal or not? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And what happens to those charters and what happens to the drivers at the organizations for next year? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Later today on the channel, we're going to see Xfinity Series race picks for the race at Sonoma Raceway. Tomorrow, there's going to probably be 2 NASCAR news videos dropping on the channel throughout the day, and then we're also going to have the paint scheme video likely dropping as well. Friday, I'm going to be doing my 2026 NASCAR schedule predictions more than likely, and we're also, of course, going to be doing the Xfinity qualifying reactions, and then Saturday, Sunday, we're reactions to the Xfinity Series race and the Cup Series races as well. We're going to have content coming on people like Haley Deegan, Shane Van Gisbergen, Cards, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, Bubba Wallace, Ross Chastain, Ryan Preece, Michael Jordan, Cletus Farron, Dodge Ram, Frankie Muniz, Matt DiBenedetto, Tony Breininger, Kaylee Bryson, Brad Keselowski, Connor Zillis Jr., Motorsports, silly season, Daniel Suarez, other people in the industry like Matt Kenseth, if you name it. We'll be talking about all this kind of stuff on the channel in the coming days, weeks, on with Sam Mayer, Sheldon Creed. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode. I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content, other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.